Thank you, Coach, for accepting my invitation for this. And would you like to introduce yourself first?
Hello, thank you for inviting me. Yes, my name is Nacho Porto. I'm right now a paddle coach, although my background in the studies is engineering, so I have been usually also I try not engineer. To identify myself with what I do because it's usually the way we do, right? Like we identify ourselves with our job. So I'm Spanish. I'm living right now in Finland. I have two kids. I love paddle, and that's one of the reasons why I'm coaching. But also one of the reasons I'm coaching is because I love everything related to the mindset, and that's because we are here today. And I think that's one of the things I can help the most to myself when I coaching, because that's a way to understand who I am and why I'm doing the things, but also to the players. So that's very briefly who I am.
I think it's important to first help yourself by doing what you love, and then you can only spread it to other people, I think. So that was a really great choice. And how was the transition from engineering to Padel, or do you see any benefits? Because I feel like Padel is like you get from all your past experiences something that would work in the field as a coach and as an ex-engineer. I'm guessing that you are not doing it anymore.
No.
What did it give you? Maybe that analytic mindset, analytical thinking, or I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either because I think somehow I'm analytical anyways. Probably engineering has also affected to be more analytical. So in that sense, I think it works, especially if you are coaching, because I'm not that sure that being too analytical as a player helps. Because it's difficult. You have to find the balance between playing with intuition and playing a bit more consciously. But as a coach, it helps a lot because you are analyzing what is happening. You have to understand what we should practice. So you have to analyze the player, how they play. So for sure, engineering, I would say it has affected because, as you know, engineering, you have to have a structure and you have to go from one point to the other. The problem is that engineering is also somehow very linear. So you have to follow steps all the time. And usually, because you work with machines, they work in a linear way. But then when you come to play with humans, if you want to do it that way, you realize if you are smart enough and humble enough that it doesn't work because we human beings we behave in a non-linear way because we are complex. So it helps me because I find structure somehow, but on the other hand, it doesn't help me if I try to find a linear way of doing the things because it doesn't work most of the times.
So the human factor.
Yes.
And let's get to the first question. So Padel is being played in partners. Can you imagine it being played in singles too, like in tennis? And um, I mean, of course, there are singles courts in Padel as well, but in competitive level, it doesn't exist. Padel, that's the biggest difficulty of Padel, maybe being played in couples. What do you think?
Yes. I think that, as you said, it's still played individually. Somehow, from the mental point of view, still I think most of the players they played it individually. I would say even at pro level as well. So, in fact, they say many times that paddle is a team sport that is played individually. This is what they say at professional level, even some professional coaches. So I still believe that it's a team sport, play as a team, so not individually. And that's the thing that most of the players struggle. I like to play a lot paddle, sometimes single. So I go with my friend and we play cross court or down the line because you get more balls, you can make more shots. It gets simpler, much simpler actually. But that's one of the things of that is nice to play in teams because compared to single, when you have four players, again because human beings and players are non-linear and are unpredictable, the more players you have, usually the more complex it gets the game. So you have to be much better player to play against two guys and with one guy next to you than just play one against one.
That Padel is not linear, so there are a lot of factors affecting the results, and most probably not every 2 points in whole Padel games are not the same. You know, every time there is some different factor. Although there are maybe billions of points being played.
Exactly. Yes, you're
Uh,
right.
so that's making the game a little bit more chaotic. But since we are in the couples and professional level topic, let's get to this Stupa and LeBron situation. They had some like arguments, even in court. You felt the tension, and it was very clear, very obvious from outside. And what do you think about it? And in those moments, although one player is frustrated at the other player, just to keep the of the other player high, can he try to make it better for the other player, or should he show his emotions?
Again, it's such a complex topic because first we don't know what is happening behind, like how they train, what they train. Because for example, let's imagine that they have trained something for that specific match, and they have agreed that we are gonna try to do this thing, and then one of them is getting out of that roadmap for whatever reason. So I might understand that you might get a little bit frustrated because you have agreed on doing something. But let's imagine that no, that you are trying to do that was agreed, but somehow you can't that day because whatever reason. So if you explain to me on the bench that okay, I'm trying to do this, but sorry, I cannot do it today because it's not working. Like what can I say? Like then I would have to understand you that okay, I know you are trying and you can't, so I shouldn't be so frustrated. But again, this is very complex because LeBron is very competitive, and I feel somehow the level he's playing right now is very high, and he feels that he could win those guys. Let's imagine if he's thinking if I had another LeBron in my side, I think he feels he could win these guys or at least make them a match more tight. But then I think what he's not yet being able to understand which partner you have next to you and if this partner actually get better when I stress him. And I feel that Stupa is not the case. For example, Velastegui, he got very Juan Martin somehow stressed him because he was very demanding and blah blah, and he actually benefit from that. But I don't feel it's the case of Stupa. I feel Stupa plays worse when LeBron is somehow behaving a little bit like too demanding. Imagine how many years LeBron has been working with a psychologist, probably treating this topic, or Paquito. Paquito has had the same issue, and still they haven't been able to change it, or at least they have modulated. But I don't feel they are still able to manage it very well. So very difficult, very difficult.
Maybe I asked a very extreme example, but in general, let's say players are frustrated or they lose their temper for whatever reason. They got hit by the ball, by the opponent, or a controversial call to the ball, like if it's in or out. What do you think is the best way to reset your mind at that moment in the match, in the fastest, quickest way?
I think it depends also on the reason because, for example, if it's a call that you feel it was very clear that you are right and the other is wrong, is not easy. But I think the way you go back to, let's say, the normal state is kind of similar way that you would be going back to the similar state if you miss a point. So I think if you have trained that, it doesn't matter if it's a call or not. But I understand that the level of frustration can change. It cannot be the same level if they call some ball back or if you miss one ball easy. Okay, the level of frustration is different, but the way to go back, I think, is similar. And as you know, there are many techniques. There are some anchors that some players have, for example, touching go to the back and touch the side glass, do something with the grip, breathing, but those things are kind of habits that you start training for those situations, and they usually don't going to work if you have never trained it and then you say, okay, and now I relax and I try to focus again. You need to train them as any other thing.
You are mostly training recreational players. And how is it for you? Training players from different levels, different playing styles. What is your favorite personality type to work with? And what is the type that you are having the most difficulties with?
The one, let's start for the negative, let's say somehow the negative. The one I have more issues is when someone who is not expressing you what they want, or if they disagree with something but they don't say, so that it's difficult to read somehow their demands, even how they feel, or you feel that they are somehow not satisfied but you don't know why, but they are not able to express you. This is very related also to your personality but also to the culture, and that probably in Finland, that's one of the things that I struggle the most, because people here are more introvert somehow, so it's difficult to sometimes get to know them. Actually, I have been with many players for years, and I still feel sometimes that the relationship we have on court is not that different than a relationship I had with a Spanish in 2 weeks, and I'm not exaggerating. So there is not so much communication. So a player who is the other way around, let's say, communicates, proactive, he tells you what he would like to practice, he's somehow more oriented to the task than to the goal, because there's many players who are very oriented to the goal, so they want to win. So when you want to win too much in the practice, then you are not open to explore new things, to try new things. So players who are more oriented to the task, okay, I want to try this new task and let's see how it goes, and I don't mind that much if I don't win or lose. So that kind of player, I think, is nicer to.
Do you think improving in Padel, let's say training with you, being engaged during trainings, matches, would it also improve people's souls, moods, boost their overall psychology? What kind of feedback do you get from your trainees after a while?
That they don't give me feedback, to be honest.
Finnish or
Yeah,
Spanish? Or any?
usually I train because the academy is in Finland, and I train mainly with Finnish. So it's very weird that they give you feedback. Very weird. Even though I think when they don't like it, still they don't tell you. But to be honest, it's not so common. Also, you know that I have been training many players already for 3 years. So after you have been training the same player, the feedback is not coming that often. That if you train only once, I go with you, and then you after the session, okay, I like it a lot, and blah blah. But in general, I still feel that's something that it could be better here. I have tried, but still I haven't found the way. That they also tell me, for example, about the practice, like, okay, this practice was good because of whatever reason, and I think we should practice this more. So this is lacking here.
How did the bullshit series come to your mind? Is it a part of your character? Are you a type of person that says directly if something is bullshit, it's bullshit? Or is it also a mixture of, making something different, attracting more people on Instagram?
Yeah,
Because I love it, to be honest. With my friend, he's also a fan, and I enjoy it a lot. But yeah.
yes, people like it because it's controversial. I think like it was last weekend in Belgium. I was in the hotel, and this topic came to my mind. Like, maybe where is this coming from? Because let's say the first response I give you, it was we were making a video, and then I was doing something, and it was not planned, and then I said, okay, this is bullshit, so this doesn't work. Then if I go a little bit deeper, it's because I was seeing so much content on social media that I was thinking that, okay, what is this? This makes no sense. But I think in the weekend I actually get to the like deepest point, and I think it has to do with my background. So when I was engineer, I was in the corporative life, and I think the corporative life is so much bullshit, and I think I dislike it so much. so much, being in meetings that you don't want to be, but none of the guys want to be, talking about things that you have no idea and you know it, but maybe even the other guy knows, and that you are talking bullshit. Going to conference, everybody is behaving and acting, and and I think that was so deep in my past experiences as an engineer, and I dislike it so much, and I still dislike it. Thank God I don't do it anymore. That I think that was the root of that bullshit that then came later, a few years later.
So you are fed up with the bullshit and you just wanted to say it out loud.
Yes, yes, and now I can say, because I don't have boss. Because before I couldn't say it. At least I couldn't say loud. But now, because I don't have boss, so I can say it and I don't mind.
That's amazing. And what is the biggest bullshit, do you think, in Padel, as most coaches teach, but that doesn't feel like right to you?
I think in general is still this belief that if you are able to train repetition of the same things again and again, then you are gonna be very good. Like understanding again, that understanding that paddle is more, as I was talking at the beginning of the session, that is more a mechanical thing that you can predict, that you can follow steps, instead of understanding that is non-linear, that is complex, that is unpredictable, that sometimes is chaotic. But still, I feel we have some mental bias that even though I tell this to one player and he would agree, because he's not stupid and he has felt playing, but somehow I think we have some mental bias that we want to control it, because as you know, we don't like uncertainty, and we feel that no, but I know what you mean, but I think that still if we train this like this, I think we can still anticipate and control what is going to happen. And that's a bias that it happens to me also many times, and we know that is not true, because we can see in the game, if the game were predictable and you could train it in pattern, you could win basically players of your level most of the times, and it doesn't happen. And actually, now that I'm telling you this, when I was yesterday coming from Brussels, I was listening to a podcast from a very well-known coach, and he was speaking. The interviewer were asking, like, can you give some basic principle of the game, like for beginners and blah blah. And he gave such a nice explanation that looked beautiful and it makes sense and blah blah, that fooled myself for a while. I said, okay, that makes sense. I didn't think about this, but then later I was okay again. No. This is again kind of bullshit, because it was the same thing, and he's pro coach, one of the best coach in the world. So he was saying that the same thing, like, okay, everything starts, you are at the net, the other guys are at the back, and the first thing is that you don't want them to make you lobs. Okay, so because if they don't make you lobs, you can volley, and if you volley, you probably can put a lot of pressure. Okay, that sounds okay, for example, but it's not true either, because for example, there are players actually they want that you lob, because then they can smash for
Mhm.
whatever reason, because they smash well or because they love to smash. But then more, he was saying that it's playing in a very linear way, like cause effect, that okay, if you are able to volley very deep and low, for example, they are not going to be able to make you lob. So if they cannot make you lob, you can get closer to the net. No, it makes sense. Then the other situation is that you volley, but the volley is a bit higher, so still they can make lobs, but the lobs cannot be too high, because you cannot put the racket and make it with the arm like this. So they're going to be fast lobs, or they're going to play you low. And the third one is that the ball is higher, so they get easy balls. So then you have to move back in order to start defending yourself. So it sounds beautiful. Okay, if this happens, I get 2 meters closer. If this happens, I get 2 meters backward. But the reality is that if you had to put everything that it can happen like this in that situation, which is very close, you would write 500 page book, because it can happen that the guy, when he's very low, he's able to just with the grease sometime make you a lob. And now I'm closer. I lost the net. Yeah, but that is an exception. Yeah, it doesn't matter, but an exception, it can happen. If you know, and we are talking about the top of the top. So even fool myself like for a while. So this kind of explanation I can see in social media a lot. Like for example, if you play to this glass, there are some videos that they put numbers to the glass. Yesterday I saw one that was unbelievable. So they say, for example, if the ball bounce in the glass one, and maybe the second glass they call it, in the side glass they call it three. If it bounce in the 1 and 3, you have to do this. If it bounce in the 2 and whatever, you do this. Okay, hopefully it will be like that. But well, hopefully, thanks God that it's not like that, because that's the nice thing. That because it's not like that, we are all dying. Okay, what is going to happen? So I think that's the most bullshit thing. And thinking that you can predict the game, and if you train patterns, then you are able to play very well. And at amateur level, it's impossible because most of the players, they don't even know where they play because they are not accurate. So they put me the racket like this, and I have no idea where they're gonna ride me. And then at professional level, the same, because when they put you the racket like this, they can do 3 things, 4 things. They can play like this, low. So
they are good at disguising, hiding their next move, basically.
exactly. So you say, for example, that if I play with an amateur player, I agree, for example, that if he has the ball the racket like this, I don't know, you can see, yes, it's true at the back, 95% of the balls, at least he's gonna try a lob. But what happened is this: first, that we don't know if he's gonna be able to make it, because his intention is that. But maybe it doesn't go long, it goes low, and so then there is uncertainty. But the second thing is this, that a player at that level, that he's very predictable, he puts you the racket like that, he's probably playing against someone who is similar level. So he doesn't have the capabilities yet to read this. And then when you move to professional level, the player who put you the racket like this, it can do 3 things. So that's because it doesn't work.
You can never know, basically, the next
You
move.
can never know, because that's because Padel is uncertain and it's complex. And still, even at pro level, I don't feel like some coaches, they don't understand this. And they think that with all the data that is coming, that you are going to be able to predict the patterns. No, because the players are also adapting, they change.
I mean, players are changing, adapting, improving in amateur levels. Once you play with one player, the second time you play, maybe he's or she's capable of more and using the glass better or using the backhand better. So everybody is evolving and changing. Also, it's an outdoor game. There is the factors of sun, the wind. So everything is so different. And in this like uncertainty, trying to create some pattern and trying to make people believe that if you do this for this, it's gonna be like this. Like it's really maybe I can agree that it's quite bullshit.
And sounds good, you know. The problem is that sounds very nice. And because, as you know, our brain needs order. So that's order that you feel, okay, this makes sense. You know, it gives me order, and order gives me security. But you are fooling yourself, because we know it doesn't happen like that. If not, for example, Galan and they are playing now many finals. And for people that they don't know, there is the first one with the second one, right? So is Galan and Chingota and play with Coelho and Tapia. And sometimes Galan are winning. Galan and Chingota are winning, especially the last time they won once. But anyways, so if it was like that, because you know they were even talking that they can play 3 shot ahead. So do you know what is that? So imagine, like, it's like, okay, if I play this ball there, the next one is gonna come me here. So the next one I play there, and the next one is gonna come me here, and the next one. So there are 3 shots ahead. So that's no.
Chess.
It's chess. That's believing that Padel is. You have one question that is about chess that I was interested. That is believing that Padel is chess in that sense. I understand when some people make the analogy of chess, but in that sense, it's not chess. Because in chess, you have limited options. For example, the tower can do whatever movement, but a Padel player has infinite options. Infinite.
That's true. But still, I like to believe that Padel is also a strategy game where you build the point one by one, not trying to finish, not trying to take the big risk, but trying to find the best moment to finish the point in that way only. But
yes, in that sense, yes, I agree. I agree with you 100%. But in the other, no, because as I said, the player can move in any direction. Even if they would be a bit more open, they could be in the right and suddenly in the left. And this you cannot do it in chess. But it's true that this a game, or at least it was, I think, more before, because there is one phase of the game that we are losing, is the building phase. To as you said, trying to create, to try to build the points that you create opportunities, and somehow we are losing it sometimes. As in the professional level, you see, it's all about playing low bowling, and then they cannot lob because they smash. But that's true, and that is actually one of the main difference I see with the approach of when they play of professionals or very good player and amateurs. I think the amateur, when they are playing, their goal is to win the point as fast as possible. And the professional player, even if it doesn't look, because sometimes they win the point quickly, but I feel, or the good players, their goal is to how I can generate the situation to win the point. And that's very different approach. It's much more strategical than what the amateurs do.
and imagine four people were playing chess. Then that would be so different as well. That's one of the
Oof.
difficulties of Padel as well. Maybe one player has a plan in the mind. He sees 3 points ahead, but the other player doesn't see the same, and he has another, like, although they are partners, they are teammates. That also creates some more differences and difficulties between chess and Padel. What do you think about more tennis players start playing Padel in competitive level? And does it affect Padel in general? Like, does it give a richness in variety of shots, in more being physical maybe, because tennis players, they don't know how to use the glass very well at first, at least, but they have amazing overhead shots, smashes. They have amazing agility. They can really return well, and they have softer hands. Or is
Yeah.
it just simply an ugly sight to the eye, like tennis players
No,
playing padel?
no, I think it's very good, because one of the topic I like is that when they come to play paddle, and then the paddle players who are not good, they say that they don't play paddle. Yeah, but these guys, they won me, but they beat me, but they don't play paddle. They are playing tennis on the paddle court, and that's bullshit, to be honest. Because if they are beating you, they play somehow. They are playing paddle because they are inside a paddle court, but they play in a different way that you play, and like that they beat you. So that gives, as you said, that gives variety to the game. For paddle players, it's annoying because you are used to play with players who build more the point, they are more patient and whatever, and all of a sudden you get players that they want to win the point in 3 shots, because that's the way you play tennis. If you can, boom, boom, boom. So it makes you adapt, it's gonna make you improve. So it's definitely very good. And also because they also help to increase the level, because usually they start in the countries where padel is starting. Usually they are the best one. So somehow, if those guys were not there, the level would be lower. So it's good because the level increase. So more players, maybe they want to beat them, so the level increase because there is more competition. So definitely, I like it.
That's nice. And what other sport do you think helps for people recreational level or pro level to play padel afterwards? I have football background, for example. I feel that it helps a lot because I'm much faster, stronger legs. I can really defend. I have another friend who is also playing in recreational level, but he has a gaming background.
Okay.
And in front of the net, he's so fast. Like it gives him an advantage because his reaction time is faster because of gaming. So
Yes.
this kind of things, like from your own trainees, from your own players that you work with, do you see any specific sports that could help Padel afterwards?
Yeah. I think in principle, I believe any sport help you because any sport give you something. I have one video. It's called "Your Background versus Your Coach," in which I'm kind of questioning when you come to a training and then your coach is trying you to unlearn the things that you learn in tennis or in badminton or in whatever, you know. And I feel actually we should, as coaches, we should be able to say, okay, what this guy bring as a background that can benefit in paddle, and start from that, because then you start to play with much more confidence, right? So I think any sport would help you somehow, as you said, because you have played with the ball, some racket sport, badminton, or well, badminton is not with the ball, but anyways, you have a racket and something there, or even hockey, there is a stick, whatever. So that help you with the eyes and the coordination with something in the hand. But I think if you have been able to play with a ball and in a team sport, I think those are the sports that benefit the most, because you have the eye coordination with the ball. If it's something played with the hand, even better. But if not, for example, football is with the legs, it's still okay because it's kind of similar that eye ball coordination and how to move. Then, of course, all what you said about the physical movement, you know how to move, you know how to coordinate the different parts of your body and whatever. But I think in the most I see it helps is in some kind of talent or many talents. I don't know how I call it, but I'm gonna group it all of them in what I call a game IQ, paddle IQ, game intelligence, or something like that. And players who have played team sport and they were good somehow, they have, when they come to play, they have, or they develop very quickly that talent. And I'm talking that those guys, you can see that they can anticipate better than the other guys. They have that intuition quickly. When they get some ball again and again, quickly after 3 4 times, they anticipate and they have the intuition, okay, the next ball is going to come here. They have very good perception of the court in terms of positioning, space, time. I have to be here because I feel that then he doesn't have time to come here, and then the next ball I can put it wherever. So they have very good perception of this. Then they can play very well with the partner. They understand team sport.
Mhm.
So that kind of games like football here in Finland is hockey. The most played, like it's in team sport and you have something in the hand. So it's hockey. So usually those players, volleyball, I have I've seen two that they have got quite good level. So those helps a lot. And those, here in the city, we have some tennis player with tennis background, sorry. And there is one case of one guy who has hockey background, no tennis background at all. And he has this kind of intelligence. And without not so much hand skill when he started, like now he has improved. But I feel that now he's, if not the best, one of the best, better than the tennis player or the players with power, because he has this intelligence that the tennis players somehow they don't have it.
I think athleticism is important in every sport. I don't know how important it is in Padel, but what I see is cognitive side, like scanning the opponent. When you're gonna make a shot, it's really important to know where the opponent is standing, maybe, or thinking fast, reacting fast. These are really important in Padel because Padel is being played really fast. Like
Yes.
you don't have much time. The court is much smaller than tennis court, for example, and the game is fast. Four players are playing. And do you think is there a demand even in recreational level for cognitive trainings, or in professional level how important it is? Or are you working with any players for these kind of trainings as well? or just does everybody want to hit balls?
Yeah. Um, I have thought so much about that topic because, as you said, sometimes I feel like, okay, how is possible that this player is not reading that? For example, I give you an example that happened last week, that there is a player who train on a weekly basis with other players, and then there is one specific situation that that player play many times one direction, is able to hide it, but at the end of the day, the probabilities that she plays that direction are very high. The other guys have been training with her for many times, years, I would say, and it's very surprising for me that she still can surprise them. So that the ball comes there and they are not there before. So I have been thinking a lot about this topic. Like, okay, how can we train this? That people can. And to be honest, I maybe am a little bit pessimistic. I think that you could improve it. I don't know how much is the percentage, but I think in that sense there is a lot of. It has to do a lot of with somehow your natural talent, because that's something that is very difficult to teach. So how can I teach you? And I have tried so naively, because I have tried to teach that, like, for example, positioning. Okay, if you play this ball, they have this option, so you don't want to be here, but you want to be here, because that way you give them the option and more options, so they have to think. But if you come here, you only give them one option, so it's very easy for them. This kind of things that then later, after months or whatever, I was thinking I was so naive, like, you cannot teach those things. You can teach other things, like, for example, technique, maybe you can teach, but the most difficult things in paddle, I now, maybe I change, but now I believe that you cannot teach them explicitly. So you can teach them implicitly. For example, this thing you are saying, how to read that the racket, if the racket is like this, at least that you pay attention that maybe a lob is coming if the guy is at the back. I think you can say it, but I think the guy maybe can focus one moment on that. But if he doesn't have the talent, afterwards, he's not focusing there anymore, because he's thinking on how he is going to hit. But another player that maybe he has that talent but is not developed yet, you can say, you can put them in the context again and again, and maybe he can develop more implicitly, because I think those things I don't think the players who are able to do this very well, they are explicitly focusing on those things. I think it's implicit. Sorry, I might be a bit biased also, right? Because most of the players I train are also adults, so maybe this with kids might be different. I'm talking now about adults.
But one word you used was really important in that answer: focus. Uh, Improving the focus in players, or teach them how to focus more, uh, could eventually help, perhaps. What do you think?
Yes, I agree. I agree.
I think for in-play situations, especially in games, in matches, in trainings, as you say, anticipating and focusing on how the opponent will hit the ball from the angle of the racket is so important, because it gives you extra half second to go where the ball is likely to come. Of course, there are so many different surprising factors.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. But I also think that can be also a talent. I don't know if you have developed since you are a leader, but I think it's also a talent, because now that you are saying that, when I think in the good players I know, I think they also have the capability in the trainings to be focused for very, very long time. And when I'm saying very long time, I can tell you 60 minutes. And the ones that are not that good, I don't think they can focus more, to be honest, not more than 10 minutes.
Then maybe
After
that's a sex factor in games, or it's something that you develop from the childhood. So if you are really, if you learn to focus in early ages, where the brain develops the most until the age of 14, maybe maximum 16, then it's the easiest time to teach kids, and it will be useful in the or stages
Yes.
of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Might be. But for example, in my case, I feel when I'm out of the court, my mind is going everywhere. Or if I have to be sitting and it's something that is not of my interest, the same. If I have to make the effort of focusing, then it doesn't work. My mind is everywhere. But when I go to the court, I don't know why, but I don't think it's focus, it's attention. So I don't have to make an effort to say Nacho focus, but I'm just attentive to everything that is happening, and I don't have to force it. So again, I don't know until which point. Probably you can develop, for sure you can train it. I'm not saying that, but there is something there that we cannot explain. That there are some players, they are reading everything, so they're so attentive, not focused, and that make them be engaged on the game, than others that maybe after a few minutes, because they don't read so many things, they kind of lose the, I don't know, the focus.
Yeah, as mental coaches, we try to teach breath work, meditations. They all support staying in the present moment. Empty your working memory, affirmation, create a routine somehow so your mind doesn't wander, but you're just focusing with full attention to the game. And for some people, it comes a lot easier, probably. But for some other people, recreational or pro players, they need to work on this kind of uh, capacity or differences. Apart from the attention and focus, what do you think other factors are important to be successful in padel? For example, patience. I hear this a lot.
There is one topic that I like a lot, that is, I think it changed your game dramatically, is how to enter in a state of relaxation. Because when you enter in that state, I can see that most of the players play much better, much better. When you are a bit anxious, you start hitting the ball a bit too in front of you because you want the things to happen quickly. So the ball is coming, it hasn't approached you yet, but because you are anxious, then you go to hit it. When you hit it in front of you, usually the shots are not as good quality, and when you hit it closer to you. But also, when you are in that mindset, you start, as you know, the nervous system is much more active, but then start to be a bit tunnel vision. Just you start perceiving the core worse. You start perceiving how the other players move worse. You don't see the spaces. So I have tried first with myself and then with other players to start with gripping the racket, much more loose than usually. So the majority of the players, they take the racket really tight. So when you take the racket really tight, you get more tense. If you get more tense, also the mindset and everything is more tense. So you start playing worse. So I have tried that, and when you enter in that mindset, I feel it's very nice. It's very nice. It's not easy because it's a long run. Because some people say, when I take the racket like this, I feel I lose the control. But that's the thing, actually, when you understand that you have been trying to control too much by gripping the racket like this because you don't want to miss, and
And it's
actually
working against you, right?
it's working against you, exactly. And now when you take the racket much more loose, the feeling is I losing all the control. And probably it's true because you hit the ball and it goes wherever. But if you give time to that, in the long run, I haven't seen anything that changed the game more than that. It's not easy because it's a long term thing that you have to try, and it needs cognition, as you said, like how to train the cognitive part. That would be one thing, because when I'm doing it myself, it's not that I say at the beginning of the match, okay, let's grip the racket loose, and then no, I have some time to stop. Okay, how I'm holding it, okay, fuck, it's tight, I have to lose a little bit. Then even during the point, I check what I'm doing. But now, after whatever months I have been trying this, I can feel that without thinking anymore, my grip is much more loose. So my point of contact are closer to my body. I see the core better. And it helps me, especially if you are going to compete or this kind of stressful situation, usually you get anxiety. And this is a good tool that you asked me before, tools to when you are kind of frustrated or whatever. This is a good tool to relax and start hitting the ball closer to you. That's another tool I use beside this of the grip is, okay, Nacho, think on hitting the ball closer to you. So meaning that I wait that the ball comes instead that I go for the ball. And that already makes you be more relaxed. You have better quality shot, and then you start perceiving the court better, and everything works better.
Nice. Sometimes to my clients, I tell them to wear a wristband with a ridiculous color, like a orange or something that is not on them. So during the match, or socks or shoelaces, whenever they detect that, I want them to ask, okay, how do you feel? Like, to reset their mindset at that moment. And that also usually helps a lot to them because sometimes we are just lost in the game. Like, we forget that there is 10, 15, maybe sometimes 20 seconds between 2 points. There are 1 minute at least between changeovers. You can use that time. You can take a breath. You can just ask yourself to loosen the grip a little bit. You can tell yourself, okay, relax, just wait for the ball to come to you instead of going to that. So this kind of tricks sometimes help as well, especially with some naturally anxious players, because some people are more anxious naturally than the other ones, and they really need this kind of small tricks.
I think this is similar than the anchors that we were talking before, that you have some anchors that help you in those moments, because it's true. Like I remember, I think it was Nadal that he had, I don't know if it was in the hand, Rafa Nadal or somewhere, in a match that he wrote like few things. And then you can think like how it's possible, a pro level with that level that he's not gonna remember in the match those things. But if you have been anxious or, for example, nervous because of you have to do a presentation, that you have everything very clear, you have studied, and you can get totally frozen, that nothing comes to your mind. So I think it's the same in the match. But if you have some anchors, that can be something written here, or can be what you said, or can be going to touch the glass. It can help you to reset and not having so many thoughts that then you forget what you have to do.
Yeah, and what do you think about negative self-talk? Because I see this a lot in tennis players, especially. They are so harsh on themselves. Like in individual sports, especially, probably the pressure is so much higher. In football, for example, I haven't seen it that much. Okay, every sports person is kind of harsh to himself or herself. Like everybody wants to win. Usually, the pressure of winning and what's on the line for them, what they think at that moment, is making that match, that point, that goal, whatever, really, really a life and death matter at that moment. But especially with tennis players and in padel matches, people with tennis background, I see this a lot, coach. Seriously, like they talk so negative to themselves. I don't
Yeah.
know. Do you think this is also something good in the sense that they let out the negative feelings so they are staying engaged? Or how is it in padel?
Mm. I have thought about this topic because I think it somehow it has to do a lot with our culture in general. Because it's okay, what you said. It's okay that you talk to yourself a lot of negative things. But let's just say in paddle, I cannot say the same thing to my partner, right? So from the cultural point of view, it's not okay. But it's okay to say to yourself.
Ah, I
I have a
remember that. I remember that story. Okay, sorry for interrupting.
No, no problem. Yeah, I put a video about that because it also is the other way around. Like if I make a good shot and I say very good Nacho, I am very arrogant. But if my partner does it and I say that's very good behavior. So I don't know until which point this has become kind of a cultural thing that people are ashamed to say I'm very good. And why is I don't, to be honest, before I thought the same, but I think when you are objective, like you are very good, right? You are number one. Why is not okay to say that I feel I'm very good? I feel it, but also the ranking says no. I have to be humble, and the other have to say. I think this is cultural thing, so I question it. I think what you're going directly to your question is that I think the majority of the player, I don't feel they benefit by having negative self-talk. Maybe there is some percentage that they get some kind of, they wake up or whatever, but I don't feel the majority of the players from it. And the thing is that if you don't say that to somewhere else, why do you say it to yourself? So I do it. I love, like, I can also talk to back to myself, but I also, during the point, I make a good shot, for example, difficult situation, and then I make a good lob, and I say, very good, Nacho. And I say it loud. Sometimes my partners laugh. I say, very good, Nacho. And when I'm training with the players, sometimes if someone is missing, I make something good, and I say, very good, Nacho. And then I say to myself, thanks. And
I
they
like
laugh a
it.
lot.
Oh, that's good. So you're saying that negative self-talk harms more than gives advantage.
Yes. And we can go deeper in this topic, but like why we talk negatively, I think it comes from when we are little. Like we are all the time measuring what is good, what is bad, and this kind of things.
I tell clients or my friends when says something negative about themselves, I tell them to talk to themselves like they talk to their best friend. I feel like they're enlightened. They can sometimes they don't even realize that they are so harsh to themselves, but when I tell them to talk to their best friends, they realize, oh, I mean, sometimes that like just giving another direction, another kind of approach to them helps so much.
Yes, I've heard that tool. Also, I've heard the one that they call it like zoom out, like that you try to get out from where you are and get zoom out and then see from outside. That's also, I think that's also very interesting. But yeah, I think there are different tools, but I think it's very important to, when you enter in this negativity and this thought, to really stop and at least ask yourself, like, why I'm talking like all these things to me. Like, this is such a, we are playing a game and I'm talking so much shit to myself when I should be just here laughing, and why I'm doing this. I think it's important to go to the why, because many people, I like this topic a lot, is that I don't think that many people, people start playing paddle and they know why, because they want to try, they want to explore what is this game about, and then the first match, wow, this is fun, I want to have fun. But there, as you start playing more and more, and especially as you start competing, I think you start to kind of forget why you're playing, and then I think it's good to stop. Okay, why I started playing this game? Because
I,
this is another topic, but it's getting like so serious, and people are getting so competitive, and they are obsessed with performing, with improving, with going higher in the rankings. And but sorry, this is another topic, but it's about the why you play at the end of the day. Because when you are talking negatively to you, there is a reason behind. So it's good to ask yourself why.
this is also connected to the question that by playing Padel, can you teach your player something in life in general? And I think this is something like you teach them to ask why, and they can use it anywhere in life, not just in Padel. For myself personally, I love playing Padel, and in the last 1 year, I think I play more and more and more. My level is improving a bit, and in my own Padel academy or club, I join the tournaments usually with same friend of mine, and we are at that level. We are like we enjoy playing a lot, but sometimes we play against worse opponents. We win too easy. Then yesterday, for example, we played against really good. At some point, we were losing that the main point that we are playing padel to enjoy it, to have fun. Maybe that's a very tough point or moment in padel that you want to improve, because padel is more fun when you reach a level, maybe when there are more rallies, there is more strategy. I started enjoying it a bit more, but to reach even higher, then you need to work a lot harder. Then you start losing the point of just the joy and like hedonistic part of it. So
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a bit confusing for me as well as a recreational player.
I have thought about this a lot, and I like to write philosophy a lot, and I think right now what I think about this topic is that I think it's not the fact that you want to improve, because I think human beings in general, we are curious, we want to keep on moving forward, and go ahead. I don't know if to call it improve it, okay, but let's call it improve it. But I think the 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 problem is why you want to improve. Because, for example, if you say that I want to improve because then I have more fun, I think that's very healthy somehow. Because if I improve, I have more fun. The rallies are longer. I can hit the ball where I want, so I enjoy more. I think the problem starts when you want to improve because you are obsessed with winning other guys, with going higher in the ranking, with becoming whatever player category, B category player. I think that might come some problems,
I see.
and I don't think it's easy because the way we have grown up is not the first one. It's not you have to, or you, if you improve you are going to have more fun. No, it's like if you improve you get better, and better means that you are better than someone else, so that we are comparing with someone else, we are measuring our ranking, our points, or whatever. And I think that's when it becomes, I don't know if call it healthy, but I feel, at least what I see in paddle, for many players they don't have too healthy relationship with paddle, to be honest.
Well, yesterday in the evening, I played the best match of my Padel career. Let's say, I mean, uh, not professional or anything. I mean, just fun career. It was so good. The level was just like I really wanted. The rallies were long. Everybody was so engaged. We lost in the end, but it gave me so much happiness afterwards that I really slept well. And this joy was so meaningful for me. Knowing why you're improving in one sport or in one area in life is really important.
Yeah, and it has been, for me, it has been also after playing so many years, and now that I'm coaching a lot. Now I now respond in many of the questions I used to have when I just played a lot and I was competing and I was losing, and then I felt bad somehow, and I'm responding many of the questions. For example, that like before I was playing so much for just the sake of winning, of proving, of being better than someone else, of proving that I'm very good, and now I'm sure that is still there, but I feel also that there is so much about learning. So now, for example, I train like let's practice this, not just play. But I think there is a lot about it's the curiosity, the exploration. I want to practice this and let's see if I can do it. And probably deeper, there is still this thing that I know somehow that if I keep on improving that, maybe I can keep on winning somehow. But at least now it's clear for me. Before it wasn't. And I don't think it's clear for the majority of the player, and I understand because either they don't have someone who can guide them through this process, or basically that you don't think too much. Like you just finish the match, you get angry, you go home, and next day you go to work and another game.
Well, coach, I asked everything. If you don't have anything to add, I don't want to hold you even longer, but I loved every minute of today's conversation, today's interview. You gave a lot of amazing informations again for people who will watch this.
More and more people maybe can take something from this conversation.
I think it was good, no? Like if people listen to this, I think it will be quite beneficial because we were covering so many things from beginners level to recreational to amateur level to pro level.
Yes, yes. What I don't know is if some of the things are too deep, because as you know, the majority of people they don't want to go too deep, and I respect it. So they prefer just superficial topics, but I enjoy it a lot. And that's usually what I told you today are topics that are in my mind